There we go. Mic's on. So, what happened after Double Dragon Advance? Well, like I mentioned before, Million, who was what's the word, owner, I guess, proprietor of the Double Dragon IP, made this game, but also licensed out the IP for other developers, primarily on mobile phones. Um, One such game was, I'm not going to update all this things on the side here for all of this because it's going to be kind of quick to go by. We only have some pictures basically. Um, this right here is about as good of a quality as I've been able to source. We can get some music going actually. Ooh, turn down that a little bit. There we go. This was released in 2004, and I want to say that this version was published by Bandai. And as you can see, so this was a Java phone game, and it has some unique artwork for sure. It's got some Bob Ross looking Williamses who can do flash kicks, I guess. Is that iMode? I don't know a lot about this release, frankly. I've seen stuff indicating that Bandai was involved somehow. Like, Japanese phone games from the mid 2000s is not an area of expertise for me. I don't know a lot. But what we can see here is this level layouts are clearly not the same. Move up here to get some more. I think this might be the last. Oh, okay, we're gonna go flip back and forth here. I just want to kind of. Oh, actually, we're a bunch of pictures here. So this looks like the early part of stage 1, kind of, right? There's the brick wall with a poster. This kind of looks like the boss area, but I suspect that this is actually more based on the NES or Game Boy versions even. Because we got the scoop sign over here, the car sign. I guess you can't see my cursor. And it looks like the stage like continues after this kind of more open boss area part. And this, like the factory layout, looks a lot more like, I want to say on the Game Boy version, there was a room that looked very much like this. It's got the shovels from Double Dragon 2. And a fight with Jick in this room, which I want to say, isn't this like the end of stage 1 in the Game Boy version of Double Dragon 1? Because you climb up a ladder or something, you go into this kind of factory section, and there's a room like this where it looks like kind of the... there's some version you fight a Bobo in a room like this, I want to say. Or not a Bobo, Burnoff. You got the forest part with the bridge. Doesn't appear to be a gap in the bridge, but maybe there are multiple bridges. And we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I guess this is the fight with Machine Gun Willie. Mobile one was on LG flip phones. There's multiple ones, actually. But yeah, this is a game that I had been looking around a little bit for on the internet, but I have not been able to, like, mobile game, Java game emulation is tricky at best. But obviously, if you can't find the actual game, it's kind of a moot point. So this is a game I've not been able to get hold of. Maybe there's a dump of it somewhere on the internet, but if there is, I wasn't able to find it. But yeah, I'd be curious to check this out, if only because it clearly has a bunch of original art. I mean, I imagine it probably doesn't play amazingly, but it's not like I would let that stop me. So this was the 2004 mobile game. Just released as, let's see. Yeah, 2004. It was called Double Dragon. There was in 2005 another game called Double Dragon EX. We've got technically a cover art for this here. Well, yeah. So you see there, it has a little EX on the title. Published by Elite. The best names in mobile games. I guess they're not the best names, singular. They're the best names in mobile games. So Elite, I want to say, is like an old, like, PC game publisher, right? Like, putting out a bunch of Amiga games and shit. I guess they transitioned into releasing mobile stuff at some point. Or at least the brand was alive for it. This game I have. However, sadly, whenever I boot this up in the emulator, I cannot get it to move past the main menu. However, I want to say that I do have video of this somewhere. Give me a second here. Do we have it here? Yeah, let's check this out. Oh yeah, it's got some obnoxious music. Let's just mute that. I think this is just a video of like playing through the first stage, basically. And yeah, it's kind of typical for these games to not have much in ways of audio. Alright, we get an extensive look at the main menu, I guess. So you can see there, the portraits, they're from Double Dragon Advance. Or at least Billy's portrait was, and Jimmy's was like the same, but swapped. So it kind of looks like the art is sort of derived from Double Dragon Advance. And I think Million made this game. But Elite like published it, or at least overseas. I'm not sure. Like, it looks a bit of a mess. This is not a great video capture either. Yeah, the preservation of mobile games is, yeah, not in a good state, that's for sure. So we at least, you know, we should appreciate what little recording we have of stuff like this. But I think, like I said, the emulation in itself is like kind of difficult to I don't know, there's a lot of issues with it. Like, even if you get games running, just getting the resolution and fonts, like, it's such a non-standard platform that compatibility, like, there's just a lot of weird stuff. Remind streamer to hydrate. Thanks. Probably needed that. But yeah, you can kind of see that it's like that walk animation, like, it's not quite the advanced sprites. It looks like, it's hard to tell because it's so chunky and weird. The video is at a low frame rate, so I'm not sure we're even seeing all of the animation. Clearly the gameplay looks a lot more like the arcade than DD Advance. Unfortunately, I don't have more footage of this beyond the first stage, so we don't get to see really what happens if the game sort of branches out in different ways. Although, from my experience, these types of games, these like J2ME mobile games, they were usually not very big, not very long. I mean, storage would have been an issue, I'm sure. D going on a redemption spree, Jig is collection lore. Sure, I'll grab something to show. I'll show something cool right after this. Well, there's not an awful lot more to see of this, I suppose. We can skip ahead a little bit. Hey, there's no cat. So this port is already notably inferior to, I don't know, the Mega Drive Porter 1 or whatever. Oh, the boss is like a life bar? That's kind of cool. That's a pretty unique feature. But I guess we're just ending game there. Yeah, 0 out of 10 cats. Shit, I didn't have anything really prepared. Actually, I do have something I could show. Let me dig out something real quick. We don't need to see that again. But I wanted to hop over to this scene. So how about this? The Twin Tiger expansion to Street Masters, the beat 'em up arcade game inspired board game by Blacklist Games. So this was Street Masters was a all this stuff in the back here. It was on Kickstarter, and I didn't back it when it first came out, but there was an expansion called Street Masters Aftershock, which I backed, and I got the original game. And there's a bunch of expansions and stuff. And as most of the board game stuff I get, I back it on Kickstarter, spend a couple of $100 or whatever. A couple of years pass, and I get giant boxes in the mail with shit, and then I proceed to not do much with it. But yeah, so this game, this expansion right here, it's parts of it I think is kind of cool. Parts of it I like the game in general. I haven't gotten around to actually playing it yet, but as far as like the art and the design and everything, I don't love the aesthetics, but it has a lot of kind of beat 'em up-esque tropes and stuff. The one thing I don't really like is that almost all of the characters, like all the miniatures, are all like all the artwork and character designs basically are like complete rip-offs of stuff. There's a lot of like character illustrations which are basically traced from like Street Fighter 4 character illustrations and like Mortal Kombat 9 characters and stuff. Okay, cool. I had already removed all of the minis. I guess I took them out I probably primed them to paint them, so I guess I can't show them right here. But, oh shit, there's so much. All right, okay, we'll keep it simple. But anyway, with this ads here, is a bunch of extra characters and like missions. So you got these like boards. It's on a hex grid. And they've got like different layouts with like enemy spawn positions. There's conveyor belts. And I guess this one has like acid pools or something. It's like toxic waste. Or maybe it's just water. I don't know. Yeah, this stage is called Poison the Well. So I guess it's poison or some shit. So they've got these kind of traps and stuff for increased Double Dragon vibes. But yeah, so the extra characters to the ad. So these guys right here, the Twin Tigers, are based on the creators of the game. They're two brothers, Adam and Brady Sadler. So that's the part that I don't really love. It's a bit too cute, but you can see them here. So they're like cosplaying as Billy and Jimmy, basically. And you can see in the box too, we basically have fake Abobo, fake Linda, fake some other girl, and fake Machine Gun Willie. And I think some of the other characters, yeah, like these two, the other two like playable characters in this, and I think they're like based on the creators' wives or something. I don't know. It gets a little silly, and the art direction, the style of the minis aren't super cool either. But it's a board game that's kind of beat 'em up based, so I wanted to get it. Unfortunately, there was another board game that looked super sick, that had much cooler figure designs and everything, that was on Kickstarter, but like that, it was canceled. It was, I don't know, weird stuff happened. But I would have much preferred that, because that game had cooler miniatures, and it has a pretty cool mechanic where each level is made up like multiple pieces of the board, and it has like an actual scrolling mechanic where like you move from one board to the next, and you like shuffle it over and add a new board. So there's like an actual scrolling mechanic. I thought that was really cool. But that, maybe one day that game will materialize, and if so, I'll probably buy it. Were I aware that there's a Contra game coming out by the same company using the same system? I know they've done some other stuff. There's another game that I saw another Kickstarter for that's based on the exact same system as this. That's like, I don't think it's advertised. Some of these other boxes have like advertisements for other things on the side. And it's like, I'm looking at it right here in another box. It's like a cop movie thing. But yeah, the beat 'em up aspect is like the one part of this that I'm genuinely attracted to, even if a lot of the other things look kind of iffy. But yeah, whenever I get to actually painting these minis, obviously I'm definitely painting these guys red and blue and not green and blue. And I'm going to give anime Machine Gun Willie here yellow outfit instead of black, but you know. I did paint some miniatures back in the day. I was into Warhammer very briefly when I was in like middle school, and it's a hobby that I've been meaning to pick up again. And I've done it just a tiny little bit. I'd like to get into it more, but anyway, that's a little piece of lore for my collection. I hope that satisfied everyone's curiosity. One of these years I'll get around to playing that, but yeah, I've got some board games, some that I've received, some that I'm still waiting to be played. Rhino Rancor, what's up? There's a lot of Double Dragon games. It's a popular series. And we're going to look at some more of them. We looked at 2 mobile games. There is, I'm not sure if I have, actually I do think I have a video up. Yeah. Let's take a super quick look at this.
Project.
Nope, we don't need to hear that. This is Double Dragon 2. But it's not, it's kind of a weird one because it's basically a port of the NES game. Which you'll see real quick here. It's basically just the NES game with like a slightly different framing. I think it does have like MIDI versions of the NES tracks, which is like kind of neat. But it's NES Double Dragon 2. I mean, it's hard to judge video capture of Java phone games, but it looks like it runs pretty well. But even the NES game, like doing multiple button inputs and stuff, I wonder how well that works. I mean, I guess it probably has a slightly different control scheme. Maybe it's like 3 buttons, basically A, B, and then a third button for combining them or something. But yeah, it's NES Double Dragon 2, so it's nothing. There's not a lot of unique stuff about this game. I think probably the most unique aspects would be the music, which it's not, like I said, it's basically MIDI like interpretations, like what do you call it? It's not rearranged, it's just like ported basically from the NES music, and it basically sounds worse. So I want to say that I did actually get this version running, but since there's just not a lot to it, I didn't feel like it really warranted a deep dive. I feel satisfied enough looking at this and mentioning that this game exists, but it's not super interesting. Yeah, Butters, the new Battletoads, we were talking about that previously. Like, it came up obviously in the context of Battletoads Double Dragon, and that kind of went under their radar for a while. They showed it as some stuff last year, and then it hasn't really been mentioned. And now it's out in, was it August 20th or something? It doesn't look great, but it's on Game Pass, so I'll be playing it. I'll be streaming it when it comes out. We talked about it, again, like having Billy and Jimmy show up as guest characters and stuff would be cool. And I mean, having them as guest characters in a new Battletoads or something would be fun in a silly way. But I'm not exactly holding out hope for a new Battletoads Double Dragon, nor is it exactly something I'm really that eager to see. It's a quirky, weird thing that I love that it exists because it's weird that it exists. But I'm not sure if I really need another one. So this is Double Dragon 2 for Java phones. Not super exciting. The next game, however, let me just check my notes here, is a lot more interesting. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. So this was 2005. Actually, I don't have a date on this one. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have a date on Double Dragon 2, but I'm assuming it was around the same time. Looks like a cartoon, so if Billy and Jimmy show up, I would want it to be their cartoon versions. Sure, why not? And again, we have a little bit of a gap here. There might have been some other mobile ports or something in between here, I'm not sure. But in 2009, we saw the release of, in my opinion, maybe the single most interesting Double Dragon game to ever have been released, which is the Zeebo version. So Zeebo is a console that was developed for and released, I believe, exclusively in Brazil. It's a console that was based, I think it's like Java based. It came out around that time. The game is 2009, and I think that's when the console came out too. Brazil, of course, has an interesting history with video games and consoles in that, due to their kind of oppressive taxation on imported goods, consoles were always prohibitively expensive for the average consumer. At least ones that were imported from other countries. Which is why Sega collaborated with a local company called Tectoy to locally produce their own versions of Sega consoles. Which is why the Master System was massively popular there. And eventually the Mega Drive. Like, the Nintendo just didn't really have a presence there, and neither did Sony. You know, it was kind of all about Sega. Zeebo was also sold in Mexico and China. That does sound familiar. I was going to say, I think it had some limited presence in other markets. I remember hearing something like that. So that's probably true. And I take everything I'm talking about here with a grain of salt, because I might have shit completely wrong. But my understanding anyway. But do correct me if I'm wrong about anything. So the Zeebo was kind of a similar thing where it was designed and made locally. But it still had, and I guess makes sense, I guess, with the Chinese connection, I don't know. More like Asian developers on board. Because my understanding anyway, again, I could be wrong, is that this game that we're going to see was developed by Million. And it sure looks like it was, because it's very reminiscent of the game that we just saw, Double Dragon Advance. And the way the game console worked is that it had an internet connection, and you basically bought... It was like a digital-only console. And games were kind of small. You'll see what the game looks like. By 2009 standards, it's obviously not a terribly impressive console. But it had an original version of Double Dragon, and it looks fucking sick. So let's check it out. We can start with this video right here. This is a kind of tutorial video, it's called, that explains all the kind of moves and shit you can do. So this is going to give you a good understanding of all the crazy shit in this game. So let's check it out. So Brizo Interactive, I want to say, is the publisher. And Million developed the game, but there was probably some convoluted collaboration between them. Do we have audio here? Alright. I'm gonna update, because we'll be watching some stuff here, so... Let's call this game number 3, I guess. The game does look a little blander in some ways than Advance, but it's got a lot more unique sprites and animations and shit. So the basic moves that you got are very similar to Advance. You got running, you got the crouching and jumping, you got the low kicks. They changed the scoop moto sign for a Zeebo sign. Yeah, of course, you got jugadores, uno, dos, and we got tempo, creditos. We got the old elbow. You see here some juggles and stuff, and again, this is quite reminiscent. So I will say that I like the quality of the sprites in this game a lot, but it's... the character designs are a little iffy. It's got a lot of, like, variation, a lot of different enemies, but a lot of them are also very samey. Or, you know, they've got the kind of sweatpants and t-shirts or whatever. None of this, only the gameplay stuff is like part of the game. The overlay, the text, like that's all just editing. The music is not from the game either. Like, so the headbutt looks very different in this game. Pretty satisfying though. So the suit guys are back. Crouch to avoid. Like, everyone has kind of a shared, like, idle stance, but it's interesting playing Advance now. Like, it's the first time playing that in a long time for me. So in a way, I felt like I was almost surprised with how few enemy types there were, even though there are more enemies in that game than in a bunch of the older ones. I think I conflated that game with this game a little bit in my mind, because this game has more stages and more characters. Yeah, so these portraits, the artwork is from, like, NES Double Dragon 3, I think. The editing is, you know, it is what it is. But it's a great video to, like, just showcase kind of what's, what you can do in the game. Yeah, so that's Linda, by the way. Her design, there's more afros in this game. Yeah, the low kick combo ender from straight out of Advance. Judo throw. Throws look satisfying. Yeah, so this... See, the kick launcher, that's... As far as I could tell, I couldn't do it in Advance anyway, so I think that was added in this. And that was in NES Double Dragon 2. Yeah, the writing is obviously a bit dodgy here too, but... we don't need to watch all this in super detail, but... do some, yeah, the jump, yeah, the spin kick acts a little bit different in this game. Jumps seem floatier than in Double Dragon Advance. Yeah, I did the running hook. Oh, yeah, I got the down attack. The knee. Actually, the down attack looks almost more satisfying here. You have a dive kick. Back elbow, dive kick. Oh yeah, the stomp attack also hits multiple dudes in this game. Knife, whatever. Baseball bat. Dynamite. It looks like the weapons are maybe a little less sophisticated in this game than in Advance. Oh, the whip animation looks sick, though. It actually kind of behaves like a whip, unlike most whips in 2D games. I'm not sure blocking is a thing here. Alright, so we got juggles. And this, again, is like very similar to what we just saw. So you launch them, you can do a little headbutt, and then maybe something else. But I'm sure we'll see plenty of examples of this in the actual game, so... This video is like super long. The Boba Sprite's pretty good. It's very different, but I like it. So this game, I don't know, it seems really fun. It's a minute. Is there a minute of credits or some shit? Oh yeah, it's just like a combo video exhibition. I mean, we can see this, I guess. Yep, that's what this is, Electro. But like all these guys with the turtleneck shirts and shit, like, I don't know. I mean, they're not the worst we've seen in a Double Dragon game, but they're not, I don't know, they're not super awesome or anything. Oh yeah, the rising knee. But yeah, so you can do shit like that. I mean, a lot of this is in Advance as well. But this game has kind of more of its own unique art and everything. Like, obviously, this is a console game. You play with a controller. You can play 2 players on a TV. All features that aren't really a thing in the Game Boy Advance game, so they're very welcome. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to necessarily watch through the entire playthrough here, but I do have videos. Is this part 1? That's part 2. Part 1. Let's check it out. So this actually has game audio. And of course, none of it's in English, because this console was never released in English-speaking markets. Burn off kidnapping Marion. Dude, the sound effects. Oh, dude, this game has the fucking Beavis and Butthead voice. Just like Pitfall 3D. That's pretty sick. That voice right there. And again, Billy and Jimmy have unique sprites, different hairstyles. And they got the hair colors right, which I always appreciate. Like, oh, how fucking satisfying does this look? Like, stuff like this, I think, is what makes Double Dragon 4 so disappointing. Because, like, there clearly was an evolution of Double Dragon games. A more linear evolution. You know, obviously, there were offshoots going in all kinds of directions throughout most of the series' history. Like, there were a few years where we had a few of these games that, like, you know, Advance built off of what the original game was in kind of a specific way. And this game and the game we're going to look at after this very much built on that in a very specific, you know, very, very clearly continued on that sort of lineage. Alright, we got some awkwardly looping MIDI. Like, the music, yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I guess a Bobo's got fucking magic powers. Makes him into more of a, you know, unique boss character. I like it. I think the background art is a little bland, for sure. I mean, I guess the characters are kind of bland, too, in a way. They're well drawn, and especially Billy and Jimmy are really well animated. But the design of a lot of them feels pretty samey. There's a lot of kind of repetition. It does have more, like, we're going to see more unique enemy sprites. It's not all head-swapped Williamses throughout the entire game, but... Oh, dude, double headbutt combo. Like, oh, the juggles are so cool. Alright, we completed Misao 1. Alright, so we got the factory mission here. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, because I'm getting antsy watching an entire full playthrough. Plus, I admittedly feel a little iffy on just restreaming stolen content. I hope that it can be considered fair use here, but... Or transformative anyway, commenting on it. But it's also going to get a little bit samey. So, like, stage layouts seem kind of simplified. Man, the down attack's so satisfying. Right. So we got, like, some verticality and platforming here. But yeah, like, the background art isn't great, though, is it? Like, it's very plain. Even compared to, like, arcade Double Dragon 1, this too has a very, like, it's all like flat colors, there's no like real texture or sort of, there's not a lot to all these like buildings or, you know. Alright, Billy, you can get up there. So we got suit guys showing up here. That's very similar to Advance, right? Pit. Yeah, the level layout is actually kind of similar to that. We have the elevator in the back. Yeah, these guys even like adjust their tie, just like in Advance. I don't really like how everyone is like hunched over in this. Otherwise, the actual like fighting moves, like these guys' kicks and everything, they look awesome. Nice one, Billy. But that like hunched over stance looks kind of iffy. Hang on, let me rewind there. Do we get guys coming from the elevator? Yeah, there we go. It's a good sound. Alright, let's skip ahead a little bit. Oh, there's Burnov. Yeah, so in someone on the development staff... Oh, dude, Burnov's got fucking ultra punches. That's sick. You can grab Burnov in this one, too. In Advance, they introduced a Bobo with an afro. And in this game, they gave Linda an afro for some reason. I'm not sure what the deal is exactly. I mean, I guess she kind of has an afro, like in the NES Double Dragon 1. Or even in the arcade, sorta, kinda. But it's like... I don't know. It still looks weird in this game. It doesn't help that she's got blue hair, I guess. Let's see what Burnov's phase out animation looks like. Yeah, but this game, like, it's awesome. And I want to say that people have been able to rip all the sprites from it. So I think you can find the artwork from this all, like, in pristine condition, which is great. Because obviously the character sprites and animation is, like, a huge appeal in this game. But it's also used in service of, like, a combat system that seems really fun. And having just played Advance, which was really fun, you can tell that this is very similar. Alright, Billy fell off the ledge. It's a Double Dragon game after all. Oh, dude, like that juggle, so sick. Oh, cool. He actually does like the pixelated effect, which was in shit. That was. Is it this I'm remembering it from? I want to say that I've seen that in some other game. And now we're just completely off the beaten path. So Advance moved over to Chinatown for Stage 3, right? This is just a broken down highway. Yeah, this game has a dive kick. I guess it's like original music too? It's very similar in that sense to Advance. Like the first two stages are just like the arcade, and then it just goes places. Yeah, we got Mohawk, Bobo. You can do like co-op juggles in this too. I guess it's a little tricky to time. Sound effects are so chunky and satisfying. Like, I think these games do a great job. I mean, of course I haven't played this, but as far as I can tell from watching it and my experience playing Advance, like it does a great job of... Oh yeah, here we go. It does a great job of like leveraging all those parts of the original Double Dragon that legitimately feel good and are fun to do, but also adding a lot of freedom of expression, like all these different things you can do. Which, like, that's clearly one of the shortcomings of the original game, right? You don't have a big moveset. There's not a lot of variety in enemy types. It's it's fun, but it's oh, here's the axe from Advance. But like, yeah, this modernizes the game a lot and it evolves it a lot, but it doesn't lose any of what the parts that actually look and sound and feel good about the original. Yeah, Zeebo games aren't available. Like, the only way you could play this game in 2020 is if you got a Zeebo console that the owner happened to purchase this game and download and install it while that service was still available. I guess I don't know for a fact, but I'm fairly sure that it's not, like, you can't just hook up a Zeebo to the internet and buy this game. Even if by some miracle the actual service is still around, I cannot imagine that this game is available for purchase. So, like, yeah, it's definitely not the easiest game to get hold of. I'm just very thankful that these people were able to capture the full playthrough so we at least can see what this game was like. Yeah, I mean, digital stuff has its drawback for sure. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, of course there's more of a permanence to physical media, but if the cost of physical media production would have prevented this game from existing, then it's kind of a moot point. So we got a new original boss character here. We got a fat biker who does cartwheels. Is he a biker? I guess, I don't know. Like, again, the artwork is nicely done, but it's like not the coolest character design, is it? Like double headbutt juggles, so good. In this case, it's like the stricter limit on availability of this, I think, is more the regional thing. I actually have in a few times, a few cases, I've gone on eBay and tried to look and see if you can even find like Zeebo consoles. Because it would be a very interesting curiosity if you could get your hands on one. Unfortunately, I had no luck. Alright, let's skip ahead a little bit. Oh yeah, this is the end of this video. We can, yeah, there we go. Let's go to part 2. Now we're in some kind of enemy headquarters, I guess? Or jail, I have no idea. So this game probably, like, I think it does... Even though the combat looks really fun and satisfying, of course, a video is never going to quite tell the full story compared to playing it. But I could see this game maybe getting a little long in the tooth. Like, it seems like it's fairly long. Like, stages are kind of... They drag a little bit. Because there's not a lot of variety. You fight kind of similar enemies. There's not a lot of interesting, like, traversal or geography to the stages. And because the stages are aesthetically, like, quite repetitive and kind of bland looking... I think that can definitely be a killer thing for beat 'em up, because I keep coming back to pacing, right? Pacing is such an important thing, but it's also kind of vaguely defined. A lot of things go into what I would call pacing. A big part of it, perhaps the biggest part, of course, is like enemies. How are the enemy waves designed? How much damage do enemies take? Do all enemies take equal amount of damage, or do you have like popcorn enemies that go down really quickly? That kind of thing. Like, how long do you feel as a player that you're stuck in the same place doing the same thing? And I think having a lack of variety in backgrounds can definitely increase that feeling of, even if you are technically progressing, you're killing dudes, you're moving on. If you're moving from one screen to another screen that looks identical, like, it's not really, it doesn't feel like progress. Hey, we eventually get a staircase. I definitely think that, like, moving from one locale to another... Hey, here's the boss. Is something that can, you know, it's kind of a reward, right? Like, when you're progressing, getting to see new cool stuff is something that feels like a reward. Even, you know, from level to level, but even within each level, like, having cool stuff happen and seeing unique stuff, like, that's... It feels underwhelming when that doesn't happen. Miss Y? Yeah, I mean, kinda, right? Except she's got weird big hands. And she's a little bit more anime. Boss feels like a Mugen OC. Yeah, like I said, character design is a little bit questionable. Like I said, not bottom tier for a Double Dragon game, but, like... I guess this has Brazilian Mugen vibes. But yeah, so this stage, like all of the stages, I guess, it's basically one long hallway. Now, Double Dragon doesn't typically have a lot of stage transitions in stages. I think, like, Return of Double Dragon is, like, the only one that kind of does it. Well, not the only one. I guess some of the NES games have that, some degree of screen transitions. But it definitely makes the game feel a lot blander. Alright, we can move ahead. Alright, we're in some dojo, I guess. See what we got. I kind of want to see what everything is, but we don't need to necessarily. All right, we got ninjas. Like, some of our animations are traced from something. I don't think that's the case. I'm not sure if you mean that in a literal sense, but I think the style of the animations and everything is pretty consistent. It looks great. But yeah, there's just something really kind of generic looking about a lot of these guys. Like I said, they keep them varied with head swaps and palette swaps, which is nice, but it kind of only goes so far. I mean, it would be a lot worse if every Williams looked the same. But the fact that everyone, like McCall mentioned, like in advance, the fact that you get the big guys, you get the Abobos and the samurai dudes, and they just come out in wave after wave. This game, like, even the Abobo, he's buff, but he's not really much bigger. Like, these guys clearly are sort of traced from the same, like, drawn from the same base, the suit guys and the Williamses. Which makes everything feel samey. Even Linda she has a similar posture, similar proportions. Abobo is buffer, but, like, comparing these guys, Williams, the suit guy, Abobo, and the ninjas, like, they're not nearly as diverse looking as I feel like they should be. And it doesn't really feel like a game. I mean, we got ninjas here on this stage, but otherwise, there's not that much of an evolution of what enemies you fight and how you fight them in each stage. Like, we get a different coat of paint here. We get some kind of Japanese-style interiors. But even so, what we're seeing here isn't... you know, even small things like the width of the belt. Do we see exteriors? Do we see like a cool sunset? Do we see like what do we see in the background? Basically, it's a floor and a wall, maybe some doorways, and that's kind of what every stage has been. So it's yeah. Ooh, hang on, we got some nunchucks. That looks pretty sick. I think I prefer the nunchuck animations in Advance, but this is pretty cool too. I like that idle stance with the nunchucks a lot. I mean, that looks satisfying, but not having that combo ender, like, just something missing. But I think even Return of Double Dragon had some really good weapon animations. In Advance, it was even better. Like, I feel like simply being able to do combos with weapons is something that so many beat-em-ups seem uninterested in exploring. Almost every beat-em-up, it's like every weapon is just a single hit that knocks down. And that's something I think Double Dragon has done pretty well with in quite a few games, like just exploring different ideas of how to implement weapons. Because that's another thing too, like due to the fact that weapons often kind of knock down, they're often pretty bad. Like a lot of beat-em-ups, weapons just kind of give you shittier DPS and like attacks are slow. You obviously give up a lot of options by not having access to your moveset. And I think Double Dragon, like often... Like, for example, in some games, having it, you can kick while holding the weapon. You can jump or do certain special moves while holding the weapon. Or, you know, you do still get your combo, or a combo. Like, same thing, like, I don't mind weapons being really powerful in beat 'em up. I think that's better than them being useless. Okay, boss time. Oh, okay. I'm reminded of fucking Chainsaw Jason from Game Gear. Oh, dude, that's pretty sick. I do think the boss fights is step. I mean, okay, the anime girl with the sword was kind of weird, but this game has like distinct boss fights, distinct bosses, in a way that many Double Dragon games don't. Most don't, kind of. So I appreciate that. But I feel like we're kind of seeing what this is, so let's move on. Oh, it's probably just the same. Yeah, this boss fight just goes on for minutes. We got one more video here, the final part. And the transition from level to level also seems very... It's not really explained in this game, right? In Advance, we got some little cutscenes. They weren't Double Dragon 2 level, but at least, you know, someone talks about where you're going next, and the stages seem to, you know, tied together. Here, it's like you're on a highway, then you're in some kind of prison or school or something. You open a door, and then you're in some sort of dojo, and now we're just in the hideout. And that's definitely something that adds to, well, detracts, maybe I should say rather, from that sense of kind of immersion and like understanding what's going on here. A little Brizo sign there. This actually looks a lot like the advanced version. The dragon sign up there. I guess that might have been from the... Okay, that flame looks a lot like a KOF thing. Nice. Really just down attack Jimmy. I like the spear animations here. They kind of look like... Because in most other versions, those statues, they just kind of shift like back and forth. And it's like there's a big-ass hurt box on that thing, or like a hitbox regardless. But here you can kind of make out when it's attacking or not. Like, it might probably hurt you regardless, but... Yeah, just fucking use those iframes. Looks just as bullshit as you'd expect, but... Visually, aesthetically, it looks a lot nicer that they actually, like, stab with some oomph and not just slide back and forth. Alright, let's move ahead this. Alright, we got the Double Dragon theme. Marion's not hanging on the wall, it seems like. Yeah, unless she's up really high and we can't see her. The opening in the back, like, this looks kind of similar to the advanced version, but it doesn't look like it's actually open, like we'll see Willy come in through the back like we did. That was a cool touch. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of waves of enemies here. But yeah, so we didn't have like the samurai guys or anything like that. But we got the suit guys, the Williamses. Oh yeah, he's up there. Like, a lot of color variations, but in terms of actual different enemies, maybe not so much. But yeah, I would say Advance has a really fun combat system, and also more variety than most Double Dragon games in terms of different enemies and like memorable stages and locations that feel a little different. This game arguably has like maybe more fun juggles. Being able to play on a controller makes it a little easier to play, I think. But it's definitely coming up short compared to Advance in some of those other areas. So I think I would not be surprised if ultimately I felt that Advance is the superior game. Obviously very speculative, but I can definitely see things that I imagine. Oh, look at that combo. Well, that wasn't a great ender, but I can see things here that I can identify as like, yeah, this kind of helps give a slightly more bland impression of the game. But the sprites are awesome, and the combat looks really, really fun. Nah, he fucked up the combo. Pretty cool, though. Oh, yeah, you can do like running attacks with weapons in this game, too. Makes sense. Running is definitely a nice thing to have in a game like this. You run really fast, by the way. Get fucked, Willie. That's a good ending. Mission 6 completed. Oh shit, Billy versus Jimmy. Final showdown. Dude, I guess you could get pretty fucked here, yeah. Like, oh yeah, get nunchucked. Jimmy got an extra life too. Oh, this Marion. Oh, her sprite looks great too. Alright, fuck Billy, I guess. Get owned. It's kind of nice dragon artwork in the back too. We don't get a lot of cool like illustrations or artworks or anything. But pretty cool. But yeah, this was definitely like, I remember a lot of buzz around this game when it came out. Like, people were like, what the fuck is this version? Oh, the ending text is the same as Advance. Cool, that makes sense. Yeah, they were known as the Double Dragon. So, I mean, there's a lot of connective tissue that you can see between curious here, because I didn't memorize all the names or anything, but I'm not sure. I'm curious to actually compare it, because a lot of these names look different. But obviously the game itself, very similar to Advance, and how it plays, the combo system and everything. Oh, alright, we got one. I wonder if this is different too. Like if you, I guess Billy's, you know, sitting dejected in the Batcave or whatever over there. And Jimmy's all buff and proud. I wonder if they like change places if Billy wins. That would like make sense, right? Well, I guess that's all there's to that. So that's Double Dragon on Zeebo, a game that I have been wanting to play for 10 years, and I will probably never get to play ever. But maybe one of these days we'll get a new Double Dragon sequel that is actually more like this and less like Double Dragon 4. I'm like getting like more and more sad about Double Dragon 4 the more I see these games, and wishing that we could have gotten something like that instead. We got one more game that we're going to take a look at today, and it's yet again a game that is unfortunately unavailable in several senses of the word. And that is the follow-up to this that was released for iOS in 2011. That game is pretty fancy. It's kind of built on this. It looks cooler, I think. It's got weird touch controls. Maybe you can play it with, well, could. Or maybe you can still if you have an old iPhone that has the game installed. But maybe you can use a controller or something. I'm not sure. But let's take a look. I think this is the right video I have here. Actually, let's do this so you can actually understand. Art is pretty sick, and this art is also by an artist whose work I really like. Hang on, let me see if is there like an actual artwork for this? I don't think I have one. Let's just keep the Zeebo art. So this text scroll, it's all pretty similar to Advance as well, right? So yeah, this artist goes by a few different names, I guess, but I know him as Dai. He works at SNK currently. And he, I think he primarily works as a planner, aka designer. But he created a lot of the characters and illustrations and sprites and stuff for Metal Slug Attack. Like all of the 200 original characters or whatever for the mobile Metal Slug games was Dyadic. Yeah, that's him. But he's done some illustrations for like KOF 14 and SNK Heroines. And a bunch of other stuff. And he's doing like his own sort of indie fighting game stuff on the side. But yeah, so you can see like there's some similarity to the Zeebo stuff, but the art just, it's like 10 times cooler. Let me turn it up a little bit. So yeah, it's got like shitty touch controls and everything, which isn't great. But like, oh, it looks so awesome. And it has like the same sort of juggle systems, the down attacks. I think the laser hit sparks look kind of shit. But the sprites look awesome. You got the spiky hair, like the hairstyles again being different from Billy and Jimmy and actually accurately reflected in the sprites. Dai's not a woman, but he enjoys dressing up. I've actually had some email conversations with him ages ago. Because I actually got in touch with him after like seeing his art in this game. Yeah, we talked a bit about like his work on SNK stuff. But yeah, he seems really cool. I know he's super into Terra. I'm not sure if he's worked on it in any capacity. As far as I know, he's been an SNK for quite a while. But yeah, this game, like, I think the biggest issue with this game is the whole touch thing. Like, it's hard to get around. I love the fact that the scoop thing is there, but it's like knocked off. But yeah, like a Bobo in the back. Dude, how sick is this? Like, this game just has a lot more character to it. Like, again, you can see the evolution from Advance to Zeebo to this. Whereas the Zeebo game was kind of a step down in some ways. This game, like, amps up all that stuff. And the big guys are actually big in this. That's satisfying. Like, I think the game, like, as far as being a touch control thing, like, it's probably done about as well as possible with the controls not overlapping the game screen. But yeah, it wouldn't feel nearly as satisfying to play like this. Boss actually has a life bar. You have a combo meter. I didn't even notice that. You actually have some kind of super meter. There's like a yellow bar underneath the life bar that does something. Fortunately, we don't have a 10-minute tutorial video for this game explaining all the mechanics. But you can see the character designs, like, they're pretty similar to the Zeebo game, but they're like ever so slightly more interesting looking, I think. And obviously the backgrounds just look 10 times better. Self-owning via barrel is a classic. It's a Double Dragon tradition. Unique beat-up artwork again with the dialogue. The writing is maybe not a lot to write home about, but I still greatly appreciate having... Oh yeah, this is game number 4, I guess. I still greatly appreciate having that sort of connective tissue in between levels. Oh, the score. XP. Yeah, so the XP thing, I think, is for... It's like a meta thing. It's like a progression for unlocks. Because this game also has... Oh yeah, that's that video. We have more here. Got stage... Oh, that's the wrong video. Hang on. There we go. You can unlock like all the enemies as playable characters. We kind of saw it super quickly when the game started. Stage 2, Factory. You even have a little stage intro. There's like a character select screen where you can pick different enemies and stuff. These guys are new, of course. I guess there's water and there's like waves crashing or something. I'm not sure about the... Oh, maybe it's just like steam coming from some machinery or something. The music is maybe not fantastic, but it's certainly no worse than the GBA or Zeebo audio. Oh yeah, as far as like in-game sprites for Billy and Jimmy, this game has to have my favorite ones. Like they look badass and cool. And like the art style itself, I think is... I like the way these sprites are drawn from a sort of pixel art technique perspective, more so than the advanced or Zeebo sprites. I like all of them, but I like these the best. Oh yeah, here's Linda. She's even more buff in this version. Still has an afro. Hey, there's Mohawk Linda too, like Double Dragon 2 style with the face paint. That's cool. I wouldn't call this my favorite version of Linda, but has some personality at least. Oh, dude, the animation's so good. Like the character design and art, like there's a degree of the same things I disliked about Zeebo, but it's just executed so much better in this version. And the backgrounds look 10 times better. Alright, we can skip ahead a little bit. It's funny that this looks like almost straight out of Double Dragon 2. Like this like the character sprites in the background look, they don't quite fit together, do they? Satisfying like super long range jabs. Well, they're not really jabs, I guess. The punches are kind of haymakers, but I guess mounting is maybe not a thing in this. I don't think we've seen it done in either video, and it wasn't in the tutorial for the Zeebo version, so it's probably not in these games. I don't think it's a great loss. It's a cool thing, but it's very easy to do the mount by mistake, and you often get kind of punished for it. So if you're gonna take one move or like take something out of the move set, I think that's what I would miss the least. Yeah, there's like decent amounts of frames, but I think even more so just like the way the poses are drawn and like stuff like when he does the hop kick combo, the last like roundhouse kick having like this kind of rubbery feel to the leg. Oh, burn off time. Oh, dude, how cool is this? Not my favorite burn off sprite, but dude, what an entrance. That's so sick. Like bosses having little intros, I mean, that's not just great, like, for a Double Dragon game. Like, that's cooler than something you see in, like, 90% of beat-em-ups. Yeah, Lord Humongous. Yeah, we got some extra little spikes. I mean, like I said, it's not my favorite burn-off. I think the Neo Geo burn-off is my favorite. After that, I would probably say the recently produced Return of Double Dragon style burn-off looks really awesome. That's the one that Con Art is creating for Ultimate Double Dragon, the open board game. But this one at least has a lot of personality. Yeah, it looks a bit like Master Blaster too. It's nice. It's got that Mad Max style down anyway. Denjin Makai tier entrance. Yeah, it's nothing you can complain about. It's as cool as you can ask for. Alright, he's trying to go for some degenerate strats here, it looks like. It's just taking care of Linda, I'm not sure. I think Burnov, wasn't he like in a suit or something? Like he's in River City Girls? He's got like a cameo. I like some of the designs in that. Like I think, I don't like Billy and Jimmy's design in Neon, which is like reused in that game. Oh, his mask fell off. And it's got like the actual Burnov mask under. That's awesome. Ah, he's up bounce. Yeah, it's something like that, right? To get into like the concert venue or something. He like fell over. He didn't actually dematerialize. Maybe he comes back later and does it. But yeah, like the Lindas look cool in that game. And Marion shows up as a store owner too, and she looks cool. So bonus stages. That's the new thing. I didn't care much for River City Girls, but the aesthetics I can't complain about. And like I said, Billy and Jimmy in particular, I didn't really like their designs in Neon, and they're just the same in that game, so I don't like them any better, really. But all the new enemies and characters and a lot of the returning ones look pretty cool. Is River City Girls good or just meme? I mean, everyone seems to love it. I didn't like it. The art and music is awesome, but I thought it was really tedious and annoying. It's good if you like the direction of the flow. Like, I imagine you can learn to enjoy it. If you, I see what you're saying too, Murph. Like, I think you just have to be on its wavelength. For me, when I play it, it's like, how do people not find it a frustrating experience to play? Because that game is like the epitome of like all of your moves have 20 frames of startup and no iframes, and every enemy has like faster moves. Okay, so this stage progression is like the same as the Zeebo. Now we're in the school for some reason. We got new enemies. Like I didn't enjoy like what I felt about River City Girls. Like aside from my issues with how the gameplay works in general, with like you being super vulnerable compared to enemies. Was that like it's a 2 to 3 hour game or whatever, where if it had been a 60 to 90 minute game with no RPG mechanics and a full-on linear progression of stages, I would have liked it better. But that goes for like any beat 'em up that tries that, I think. Blocking is also really dumb because there's no answer at all to an enemy just blocking. Yeah, there's just mechanical stuff like that just to me didn't feel well designed. I think grappling is ass too. Like throwing is kind of useless, and like if you grab a weapon and you throw a weapon at an enemy, the arc that you throw a weapon in is like perfectly designed to miss everything. The pacing I thought would, like, as far as RPG stuff and like tedious pacing, I think River City Girls did a less offensive job than many other modern games. And like, yeah, it has the same issue as most games like that, where your moveset is like woefully incomplete and you have to level up and buy moves before it's any fun. But I've seen it done worse. There's a bit of grinding and buying items and moves, but I've seen worse. Like, the way the map is designed, it doesn't have a lot of backtracking. It's still mostly linear, which I think is good. Like, as far as putting all that stuff in a game, which I don't like, I think that game did about as inoffensive a job as you could, but it would have been a better game if it didn't try to do those things. And I can agree with what you're saying, Murph. Like, it's adhering too strictly to a template. Both a template that was flawed in the first place, but I think also a template for a game that functions very differently. And that's the thing, like, when I played that when it was new, and I was complaining about it on stream, the kind of common refrain you would hear from people who disagreed with me was that, well, that's not a valid complaint, because that's what Techno's beat-em-ups have always been like, and that's what River City Ransom was like, so this is what it should be. Which I think is I don't think it's a very compelling argument, because I think you can definitely be faithful in atmosphere and in spirit without being so literal about it. But I also think I don't agree with that assessment, because on paper there are aspects that are done just like that, sure. But for example, like in River City Ransom, the mechanics of what you can do are pretty simple. Yes, you can buy a bunch of moves that make your character stronger, but because of the simplicity of the combat in that game, having a punch and a kick and a jump and picking up knockdown dudes, that's kind of all you need. And it doesn't feel... Your moveset doesn't feel incomplete by an NES beat-em-up standard, I think, in that game when you start it. Whereas in River City Girls, when you start the game, like, you can't do shit. Like, it feels bad. The pacing and speed, like, you kill enemies so quickly in that game that it feels good from the first screen. Like, you could play River City Ransom and never even engage with any of the RPG mechanics and still have a good time, which is not true, I think, for River City Girls. River City Girls still did a miles better job than Underground. Yeah, Underground was not good. I was impressed enough that they actually, I think, did a good job with the art style of, like, evolving, like, building very clearly on that NES style and still doing more animations and having it fit in. Like, I liked how it looked. But it's a great counterpoint, like, it's a great, not a counterpoint, but it's a great point of reference, because I think everything that I might complain, like all those things about the map and progression and non-linearity that I wasn't thrilled with in River City Girls, River City Ransom Underground is the perfect example of doing all those things 10 times worse. And like the foot chase sequences, which were, I mean, I didn't finish that game because I got stuck on a very annoying foot chase sequence, which I hated. All right, Anime Sword Girl is back. Just love cleaning up dirt balls. Quality writing. Was it the... I can't remember. I played the game. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I played it when it came out. And I just remember first getting stuck because I couldn't find a boss fight because you were supposed to climb over a fence into the background, which was like not telegraphed at all that was a thing you could do. And then you have to run through a sewer or some shit, and I hated that part, but I think I eventually got it. And then, like, I don't know, 30 minutes later, you get to a similar thing, you have to do it again, and... Oh, it fucking sucked. I don't know. I mean, I guess I know why that's in the game, because it's like a reference to the actual Neketsu foot chase game. An infamous quest where you had to carry milk, and if you got hit once, you failed it. If I got that far, it most likely would have made me quit the game. But yeah, I think, like I said, the biggest reason why I, like... And it's fun, too, because that conversation about River City Girls and Techno's beat-em-ups is exactly why we're doing this, because having that conversation inspired me to, like, think about Double Dragon, and, like, you know what? I haven't played any of those games in a long time. It would be really interesting to just look at all those games, and here we are. But I think, as we've seen in so many of these games, this is a type of game... I love that everyone has, like, this unique KO pose. This is a genre that is has so many moving parts to the mechanics that if you there's so little that you have to fuck up to make it not good, you know? And it you know, there's even like all right. Let's check out next stage here. She's a very die design. Yeah, definitely. And now we're back to like arcade graphics, and it looks totally different. It looks nice though. I don't mind it. Like you can have stuff like that's so similar on paper. Like looking at all these different ports of Double Dragon 2 and 3, or 1 for that matter, I guess. Like you can see how the developers built the game from a design document or like a theoretical understanding of what the components are that should be that are in the game. But very slight changes in, you know, timing and priority and controls and pacing and so many different parts can change something from being like kind of cool to being incredibly annoying. Double Dragon Advance is a perfect example of building on the engine that makes Double Dragon what it is without being so stuck on what the mechanics are that it overlooks how to improve it. I completely agree. I mean, especially having replayed it now, I always remembered it as being awesome, but there's a lot of stuff I remember being awesome from when I was younger that don't quite hold up. So I was very happy to see that, I mean, especially in the context of having played like 30 other Double Dragon games over the past couple of weeks, Advance feels better than almost all of them, and looks great, and you know, it has... Playing Double Dragon Advance, almost nothing makes me feel, you know what, I want to play arcade Double Dragon instead because this or that was more satisfying. And I think that's a testament to like them really getting it right. It still feels like Double Dragon, but I agree completely. Like they clearly did not feel beholden to, you know, they weren't afraid to expand on what you can do and stuff like that. Biggest regret is that there wasn't another version on a non-handheld. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my takeaway. That's pretty nice. From watching all of these games, right? Like, there's a very clear lineage between that game, the Zeebo game, and this. And all three of them look like very above average for a Double Dragon game. The Zeebo game has its flaws, but as far as the mechanics go, it looks really fun. And not one of them is available on a console, and like, only one of them, the Game Boy one, is like, even in any way available to play these days. And it makes Double Dragon 4 doubly disappointing in that, I mean, I think because that was basically made by like the Double Dragon 1 staff, none of whom I think were involved with these games. It's a shame that they didn't try to build on something like this. I still would love to see, like, I feel like I'm just waiting for some new Double Dragon eventually. It seems like a foregone conclusion that we're gonna get something Double Dragon sometime, right? And it could be WayForward doing another game. It could be fucking who knows. I'd be open for a completely new take. Not, I was gonna say like Neon, not like Neon in building on that, but like Neon was its own thing. Preferably by a developer whose beat 'em ups I like better than WayForward. But I'll take anything, you know. No new Double Dragon game is going to be like at the cost of another hypothetical new version. Same as Double Dragon 4, it has, you know, its issues, but I'm glad it exists. It's okay in the context that it was a $7 release. If it was $20, I'd be more disappointed. I think that's totally fair. I think for me, you're the most normal guy yet. I think I felt like I liked that game better than most people did when it came out. People were a lot more negative on it than I was. My biggest issue with it is like not what it achieved, but what it set out to do. Creating an NES-style sequel to Double Dragon 2, basically, is not what I would want from it. I mean, especially, I feel like I'm validated in that feeling right now, having played all these games, because I know that NES Double Dragon 2 is like probably the most popular Double Dragon game, at least among people old enough to have played it. So I could see why that would be like, hey, let's build on that. But I don't particularly like that version, and it's not my ideal. And especially for calling it 4, like, I feel like it should be an evolution. And going for that NES style, when even at the time, the arcade games looked so much better, and they've done so many other not they necessarily, but so many other Double Dragon games exist with more exciting art styles. I think the art in that game is nicely done, but it's not what I would have wanted them to do. I liked 4 a lot. Was it amazing and will live on forever? No, but it was worth $7. Yeah, I think it's fair. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but I think it wasn't... I didn't think it was super fun to play. I like the art and presentation and the story stuff. I mean, I haven't played it since... I played it when it came out, and I have not touched it since. But my recollection was that, like, it was very hard and awkward, and your moves all sucked, except the twirling headbutt or whatever, which was... You just do that move over. It was like the Double Dragon 1 elbow all over again, but maybe not as fun to use. And the game gets a little long in the tooth, comparatively. Like, having a game where you do one overpowered move over and over can be really fun. If that move is fun to do. If, like, avoiding, you know, having one overpowered move and you do that over and over is fun. If that move is fun to do and if there's, like, a fun challenge in landing that move. And my memory, anyway, of Double Dragon 4 was that was not really the case. Like, the move was fine, but it wasn't... It gets to feel a little samey just doing that over and over. Alright, we can skip through this a little bit. Music's pretty alright. But yeah, I look forward to revisiting it. Like I said, it's been a long time, and I'm having quite a different context going into it. Because, I mean, when I played that game, when it first came out, I had not played any of the NES games in, like, decades. Hey, new enemy types. And now I have them limit break. Oh, okay, that's what the meter is for, I guess. We didn't even see this. Like, fucking max mode. I wonder what it does. Does it let you do, like... You get, like, quicker recovery, so you get more juggles and shit? Maybe. This looks like a more entertaining mechanic than the super meter in the Super Nintendo game, at least. Man, all these hunchbacks look kind of weird. Not a big fan. But yeah, with River City Girls, just to kind of tie up that... I found that game frustrating to play because I felt like some of those mechanics just weren't super well thought out, and taking Advance as a counterpoint, like, that had so many different moves that are all kind of useful and fun to do. I felt like in River City Girls, I was very limited in what I was allowed to do and have it function. But I think my number one biggest annoyance with the entire game was that the pacing, like the enemy HP, like every enemy was just too spongy, and there was no variety in enemy health, which, granted, again, is one of those things that I think Double Dragon has never been great at. I think that's a crucial thing in a game like Final Fight or Streets of Rage, where, like, yeah, you got the occasional tough guys, but you also take down 6 dudes in, like, 2 punches. And it feels great to be able to take down multiple dudes really fast. And having the guys that are tougher, like, it creates a contrast. It creates kind of an, you know, an ebb and flow of intensity. And when every enemy, like, fights the same and have the same HP and you do the same thing, like, it just gets... Like, a good beat-em-up should feel repetitive. Even if you scroll to the right and punch dudes for an hour straight. But when there's no variety in how that feels, like the rhythm and tempo of, like, beating dudes and getting rewards for it, it's just one of many ways that it can end up feeling a bit repetitive. I really expected to buy the power upgrades. The thing is, like, I don't remember that ever changing. I remember after beating the game, I went back to, like, the early parts to, like, pick up some secrets or do some side quests or something. And, like, because the enemies, like, they scale, the levels scale with you, I guess, or something. So, like, I mean, my memory is hazy. I haven't played it since it came out, but I remember feeling that way anyway. That, like, getting to the end and going back to earlier parts of the game, like, you never, like, under no circumstances do you ever feel like there are any enemies that just go down in like one knockdown. It's always like you do a full combo, and they get up, and you do another combo, and they get up. I mean, yeah, like I'm sure you can do juggles and do fancy things to kill them quicker. But in terms of like imagining Streets of Rage 2, where every Galcia gets up after a full combo 2 or 3 times, like it's just having enemies be tough and do a lot of damage doesn't make you feel badass. It just makes you feel weak and gets kind of repetitive. And I'm not a huge fan. I wouldn't even say that there's like a specific recipe for how you do it well. It's one of the things that like what makes bad pacing or enemy health. Like I couldn't tell you, but I know it when I see it. And that might be one of those like subjective things where, I mean, it's obviously subjective if it feels repetitive or not, but subjective isn't the right word, but it's one of those things maybe where your like analysis of what the problem is and what the solution is, or rather the symptom of what you're feeling versus what's actually causing that might be completely off. My thesis is that like variety in enemy health helps that. Maybe a designer who worked on these games would completely disagree, but that's my take on it. Yeah, this character like feels not super out of place necessarily, but like not like a super typical Double Dragon character. More visually interesting than the Zeebo characters for sure. Arguably a weird fit, but I like her design a lot too. I love that the boss fights have little intros and KO animations, but this fight itself, maybe not the most exciting. Oh, dude, a little hidden path. I think this is the next video here. I still strongly feel that the final fight is the game that does the formula best, and one thing that definitely does is throw in lots of low HP enemies. Yeah, I mean, I think it's final fight is like it's like Street Fighter 2, or it's like Super Mario 64, or it's like I don't know, Tetris or whatever. Like it's one of those games where it's just like you're just kind of blown away by how right they got it on essentially the first try. There are obviously games that have built on it in interesting and fun ways. I'm not sure I would say that it's my favorite beat-em-up of all time. I'm not sure I would say it's the best beat-em-up of all time. But if someone were to make that argument, I wouldn't feel like I had any ammunition to counter that argument. Like, it is, for what it is for that style of game, like, yeah, it has some bosses that are fucking annoying. It's got some cheap shit, and I'm certainly not like skilled or experienced enough in the game to wow the hitboxes. Like I haven't mastered the game, but I played it enough. It's enjoyable. It's super simple and fun to pick up and everything. But this fucking part, man. Oh, we got Machine Gun Willie statues. That's a new thing. That's cool. But like, yeah, it clearly like it's a simple game, but it doesn't need to be more complicated than it is, because like all the things you can do are functional and has a purpose. Yeah, like I said, there's just nothing in the game that you don't have an answer to. I think that kind of hits the nail on the head, and it's the game has a tool. Oh my god, you can actually get past that. Holy shit! The game has like an arsenal of things it throws at you, and an arsenal that the player can respond with. And that arsenal in many ways is simpler than in many beat-em-ups that came after it. You don't have a huge moveset, you know, but it's similar to what I said about the elbow in Double Dragon 1. Like, you can have a singular overpowered move, but the game can still be fun if your application of that move feels good and is an interesting sort of challenge. I mean, ultimately, I think compelling game design comes down to making decisions. And in some games, you know, Devil May Cry or something, Bayonetta, like your decisions might come down to how to branch your combo, and you make decisions 20 times a second based on what's going on or what different enemy types you're fighting or whatever. And you're not going to be doing that kind of decision making in Final Fight. But certainly navigation, trying to get around enemies, and even like performing infinites and stuff, like it's not super trivial. You need to have some presence of mind and even mental fortitude to do it consistently. And it might be one of those games where you need to be taught how some things work. You're not going to intuit the way to play the game the most fun way. And I think that's true for many arcade games. But if you're able to learn that, and like I said, I'm not good at the game. I think I might have... I think I've maybe once like beaten Sodom on 1 credit. But it's still really, really fun, and like it's so honed in on. Oh, dude, those statues up top, by the way, pretty sick. It's simple but really precise. It's like you know, Tetris wouldn't be more fun if you added 12 different types of blocks. You know, it is perfectly proportionate. You know, what's there and how it's used and what you can do with it. It's an equation that just adds up nicely. Obviously, there's a lot of parts. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of parts that just happen to line up right to get it to that point. And I think there's some you can point to specifically, and I definitely feel strongly that the enemy HP thing is one of those things. Like, if... Yeah, you just want variety in the pacing and like, intensity. And having every enemy look the same, feel the same, fight the same is a good way to not get that. Normally I would say cheery hip-hop girl doesn't fit, but after the Giger boss, I don't know. Yeah, it's not the most egregious. I love these little cutscenes. It's not the most, well, egregious isn't maybe the right word, but it's not the most out there thing, for sure. Oh, this is cool. She's handing over the scrolls. Oh, to get more of a boss rush? What's going on here? Oh, dude. This is pretty cool. I like this. Like, boss rush type stuff, like build up to the final fight is something that... I mean, there's plenty of versions of Double Dragon where you get a bunch of enemy waves in this room, but having this introduction, it's like the proper rematch with Abobo and Burnov. That's a cool touch. I like that. I wonder if Burnov is actually going to phase out in this fight, because he didn't actually in the first one. Let's skip ahead a little bit. I mean, it's kind of the same. Well, maybe not the same, but you know, playing a space shooter or a light gun game. There are some games where, like, you know, not every enemy is going to die in 1 hit, but you want those enemies that do die in 1 hit, and other enemies that require more shooting. And if you need to shoot everything 5 times and nothing dies in 1 hit, like, that gets tiring and doesn't feel great. Yeah, this game is not available, and it's not been available in a long time. And not only is it not on the store, but you need like a 6 generations old iPhone to even play it, I think. Ah, he just dies. That's disappointing. Like multiple dialogue scenes with the boss rush. That's kind of cool. Oh, it's not cool enough for us to keep watching it. But yeah, oh, I really want to, like, can we get like a proper version of this released, please? Or a Double Dragon 5 or 6 or whatever they're gonna call it, that's like this style. Oh, it comes. Oh yeah, this is cool. Just like in Advance, it comes in through the background. I missed the 5 masters, the Gensatsuken masters or whatever. I thought that was a really cool touch, but the sprites here look so good. Willie's smug ass portrait. But I mean, yeah, like, we get so many, like, Technos games on a pretty regular basis these days. You know, River City Girls was last year, right? And Stay Cool Kobayashi-san came out, like, 2 months later or something. From a completely different developer, of course. You had the Kunio collection. You've had like there's stuff like internal Arc System Works developed stuff as well as outsourced stuff, and Retromania Wrestling, which is a licensed Technos game, is coming out soon. I'm just curious. Like, I feel like a new Double Dragon is inevitable. I'm just so excited to find out what form it might take. Oh yeah, McCaw, I'm surprised you didn't know about this game. Yeah, it's kind of a mix in a sense of the Zeebo game and the GBA game, but with like all new graphics. It looks really awesome. Like the mechanics, I think, are pretty much right out of the Zeebo game. Some of the stages, the stage progression is kind of like that, but it has bonus stages and different bosses. Some of the bosses are the same, some of them are new. Double Dragon gacha game. Oh, unique death animation. We get dialogue. Yeah, the sprites are definitely kind of based. Oh, dude! A unique Omega Willy final boss fight. This is awesome. And now the main Double Dragon theme kicks in. Here we go. Yeah, the Hunchback dudes are for sure like Zeebo style, but they seeing them back to back, it's clear that they're all like redrawn. Like the juggles. Okay, the audio is like super out of sync, but whatever. But I love Billy's and Jimmy's sprites in this. They're like the coolest Billy and Jimmy sprites, I think. Oh, dude, this walk. I like the artwork, the unique, like every boss has a unique intro, a unique like KO pose or scene. There's like a lot of really sick stuff. So yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm so sad. So they make this for iOS, and then we just get DD4 as the non-mobile game. I mean, they're not related as far as the development goes, but I basically agree with you. I mean, they even had like Double Dragon Trilogy was a mobile release that was ported to Steam. That's just like emulated Arcade 1, 2, and 3. So they could bother porting that from iOS to Steam, but not this. Like, I'm not sure this would have been like the greatest beat 'em up of all time or anything, but it's certainly above average as far as Double Dragon releases go. And playing this with a real controller, like, I think this game looks to be a better game than the Zeebo one. Like, it's obviously visually nicer looking. It has more cool shit in it. Better sound. Actually, the hit sound, the sound effects in Zeebo were awesome, but this has like non-MIDI music and stuff. And this also, as I mentioned before, we might see it, maybe not, but like you can unlock a bunch of the enemy characters as playable characters in this. And yeah, I would love to see whether it's like more directly based on this or not, but like another console, another console Double Dragon that's like built off of this mold from Advance. Like these juggle mechanics. I mean, I would love to see this kind of 16-bit pixel art style, but even if it wasn't, even if it looked like Neon or River City Girls or Streets of Rage 4 or fucking Wander of the Dragons, just having something that plays more like this game, I would love to see it. I want to say this game has a pretty cool ending too, with some nice artwork and stuff. Let's find out. Oh, never mind. Not in this video. What the heck? Shit, I didn't have it. So much for that. Oh shit. Let's. Oh, never mind. It was. There we go. It was just in a separate video. I got really confused there for a second. Yeah, the artwork's awesome in this one. I'm sure this was, that's probably a unique illustration if you play with Billy. I'm sure you get a different artwork. I didn't memorize any of these names, but I'm curious to see if like if I'm recognizing anything from the previous version, or if they all have like all unique staff. I feel like there's got to be some overlap just because they clearly play so similarly, and even artistically, you know, like we said, some of the character sprites are clearly based on the Zeebo ones. We actually get to watch them drive in the sick Road Blaster's car. Although I don't know if it's that car. I guess not, but hey, this game had 2 voice actors. That's nice. Yeah, fucking cowgirl Marion, she's so sick. Like, that's the design. I would want her to have this design in a new game. But even the artwork we see of her in the intro and like just the classic red dress version looks awesome here. Project lead, like what? Some Axis is credited. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess Axis were, I take it, mostly involved with the localization aspect. But yeah, the actual like nitty gritty of who made what, it's an intricate web. Yeah, like this Axis did the localization, I guess. I think we get like a proper illustration. The young dragons made mincemeat of their arch enemy Willy. It's just the beginning. Oh, dude, like how sick is this art? Is that not the fucking coolest Marion you've ever seen? Billy and Jimmy both look pretty sick. Get character. Yeah, so you just unlock all like bosses and enemies as playable characters. Would have been perfect on PSP. Sure could have put this on something other than phones, you would think. Oh, makes me sad. But, like I said, even if we can't play it, we got to experience it to some degree watching some videos of it. And, oh, yeah. Really, really cool game. That is as far as we're going to get down this path of exploring Double Dragon games for today. We're not done with the stream because we're definitely going to be playing some Pit Fighter. I haven't forgotten. I just wanted to clear this up first. But just to give a quick overview of what's left, having looked at all these games, there's 3 games left. We're down to just the final 3 out of like 50 something or 40, 50 games altogether. We're going to play Double Dragon Neon, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to, myself included. We're going to be playing the Korean low budget, fully developed, but then unreleased for like 2 years until they just chat it out. Double Dragon 2 Wonder of the Dragons, which should be fun. And then, of course, Double Dragon 4. And those are all games we have left. Will I be able to get through all 3 of those on one stream? I'm not sure. I mean, it's not impossible. We'll see. Certain people in chat might be able to beat Double Dragon Neon in like 35 minutes or whatever. It's probably not going to be that quick for me. Pretty amazed if I finish Wander at all. I mean, I played the demo when it came out, and the only memory I have of that game is that I was not able to beat the demo. Xbox Live Arcade demos were usually like 30 seconds to 2 minutes long, and I could not beat the demo. So if I can get further than that in the full version, I'll consider that a success. But maybe that's another game where we fuck around with it and end up watching a video if someone on the internet actually managed to beat the game. But I look forward to checking it out. I mean, I'm not committing to beating every game. There's plenty of games that we never beat in this, this experiment, if we can call it that. But I look forward to checking that out. Neon and Double Dragon 4, I have beat both of those games, so I know that can be done. I just don't have a super clear memory of how long that might take. But hey, we've done some 12-hour streams in this series previously, so I think if I manage to do like a full day stream like that, we should probably be able to do all of them. But that's going to be enough Double Dragon for today.